get into an argument about it. Guys,
yes.
But listen, I wanted to ask you a different question. You used the word brother a lot. So obviously,
yes.
in prison, you are celebrating Ramadan only with other men. How is that different than celebrating it out here?
Well, it not only do you have the situation of being in a prison environment that's pretty much hostile to just you being Muslim, much less inconveniencing them about practicing Islam. You go to a masjid, you do have a sense of family there. You know, there's women and children there. You know, people have their wives, their mothers, their sisters, and their kids, and their little brothers and sisters, and so it creates a very family environment. But you don't really have that kind of family feel into it. It feels very almost militarized sometimes. You know what I mean? Because you're surrounded by hostility, and it's all male, and this is something that bros on the inside miss. And when you break the fast in the free world, especially, you know, there's lots more women and children there. So this feeling of a real family community, a community of families, rather than a community of brothers, it just creates a sort of a different vibe, if you know what I mean. It's there's nothing oppressive. There's a lot of you hear children laughing and playing. You have games for the kids. You know, you have your you know, like I went to Boston with my wife and my daughter there many times, and that's just that alone is very different than being in a prison surrounded by men who are all convicts and who are surrounded by sort of a hostile administration that really doesn't appreciate you doing this. They feel forced by the courts to do it. And so this just creates two very different scenarios, you know.
Do you have an external imam that...
Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to hear the rest of that interview with Azura Crispino, but what we do have in the next half hour is Ava Berg and Mickey Z.
You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Hey everyone, it's Barbara Jean Lindsay, the Cosmic Oracle. If you have questions about your past lives or future plans, need answers from the cosmos about your love life or career, or just want to keep your finger on the pulse of the planet, check out my show, The Cosmic Oracle, here on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
It is no secret that the so-called mainstream media is best described as controlled propaganda. Countless news stories are either totally ignored or spun with half-truths, and because of this, essential facts and vital information are often compromised. Join Dr. Ott every Friday night on Studio B at 10 p.m. Eastern and learn why The Story Behind the Story was nominated for a Peabody Award in its second year of producing unparalleled broadcasting excellence in 1997. That is, if you really care about learning the truth.
Wadiya will remain a dictatorship. Oh, be quiet. Why are you guys so anti-dictators? Imagine if America was a dictatorship. You could let 1% of the people have all the nation's wealth. You could help your rich friends get richer by cutting their taxes and bailing them out when they gamble and lose. You could ignore the needs of the poor for healthcare and education. Your media would appear free, but would secretly be controlled by one person and his family. You could wiretap phones. You could torture foreign prisoners. You could have rigged elections. You could lie about why you go to war. You could fill your prisons with one particular racial group, and no one would complain. You could use the media to scare the people into supporting policies that are against their interests.
Tune in Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, for Liberation Nation with Deacon John, where America comes to hear the truth.
I know this is hard for you Americans to imagine, but please try.
Ohio Exopolitics will be on from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Studio A. Mark Schneider will have guests on that will discuss many important topics, including the state of the world today. However, much of the show will be dedicated to the writings of Edward Albert Meyer. Let me read a short passage from one of his writings. Love is the highest principle of creation, and through it, everything exists in absolute logic. All of nature in its indescribable splendor is nothing but the love of creation, which is expressed visibly. The love of creation is everywhere, because without it, nothing at all would be able to exist. Please join Mark on Ohio Exopolitics from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Studio A.
Extendivite really works. Just listen to what some people have to say.
Several years ago, I was developing a very severe situation. I called it my flippy heart. It was doing not good things, and I did not want to go to a medical doctor because I just knew they would give me a cover-up pill. I didn't want to get onto that sort of thing at all. When I learned it was garlic and cayenne is a healer. It is a wonderful herb. I said, I think I'm onto something here. I'll tell you, I wouldn't be without it. It did wonderful things for me.
Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid. Call now. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Our next guest to the show is Ava Bird. Ava Bird is a poet living in Los Angeles, California. Ava was one of the first guests of the show when we started the show about 8 years ago, and she's still with us, so we appreciate that. And we're going to hear right now from Ava Bird, a poet in Los Angeles.
Hi, Chuck and Mike. Thanks again for having me on the show. I always look forward to it. And I've got a couple of new pieces ready, and I'll just read one segment of it right now for you guys. And just wanted to wish everybody a very happy summer. We're getting into June, and it's summertime. So just wanted to wish everybody a happy, safe summer. And just one quick announcement. If anybody is in the Los Angeles area, I have a gig coming up on Wednesday, June 19th at Flappers Comedy Club. I'll be roasting Hollywood. It's very entertaining. I can do a lot in just a couple of minutes. So come on out and see me. But in the meantime, I'm going to share with you a new chapter out of my book. And another thing, that other stuff you like to do, just a party thing, just recreationally. A little piece off of the privileged block of I deserve it. I've worked hard, and on my days off, I want to relax. I need it. My girlfriend asked me for it, and if I don't give it to her, someone else will. So I need to get this delivered ASAP, and I can afford it. I put in all those hours at the office, all those phone calls blabbering gibberish to other useless bullshit eaters, other assholes like me. I need to escape for a minute. I want the good stuff. I want top shelf. Not the stuff laced with formaldehyde and rat poison, and not that stuff with the MSG and the GMO and the WTF. I just want the best for myself, that is. I want top shelf liquor to numb away the truth of what my country does and how I ignore it, with my checks written to the Department of Treasury. That pesky IRS just harasses until the bank says, here it is. Just take it all. He's an asshole anyway. He doesn't give back. He snorts it up his nose like we do. He supports terrorist organizations like we do, too. So let him have it. Take it all. He owes us. Who cares if it's unconstitutional? Who cares if it's against the law? We are above the law. We own the banks and that funny money, the invisible balances. That online statement can just be erased with a levy, you know. With a lien, you have no rights. You are a slave. It never even ended. You don't know that? We are the masters. You do what we tell you to do. We are the law. This is your new alphabet, and you will speak it. This is your new currency, and you will use it. You will spend your funny money and smile. You will love your pink plastic flamingos and trinkets from China. You will pay off our debts. You owe Russia and China too, along with the IRS. Your American gods and your Western influence, the friendly fire and happy-go-lucky fats that just sit around and pretend they've got nothing to do with it, nothing to do with the setups of society, the gods, the oil, the bank heists, the TV hoaxes, those mass shootings, those Hollywood sets, the fake-ass news media that's allowed to lie to you. You don't know that either, I guess. You just needed that hit, that bong load of smoke and chemicals. Your water's dirty, too. You know that, man, right? You haven't called in and let them know? You didn't tell us? How are we to know if someone didn't speak up? You didn't use your rights. Just let them sit there and rot like your intestines. SIBO and IBS and ED and PCOS, EBV and PTSD and STD marks in the skies from all the lies, all the violence and bombs, form signing to blasting away for oils and gods and temples. I don't get it. It's not in my nature. I don't want to bomb other countries with my paychecks and school funds. I'd rather it go to my community, building the places that need to be built for people, to have clean water and air and good for all the good stuff, the healthy stuff. I just want to be nice and peaceful for all. Even the birds and cats, trees and bees should be happy here. They should be buzzing and flying and having fun out there, having the time of their life, because it only lasts a minute in real time. It just goes so fast like my cells flowing, like my yoga growing, like my body growing, and my mind and spirit too. I hear it. I'm over those gods of disaster and invasion. I just want to live free on the lands of the soils and grasses and, oh my goshes, it's so beautiful here for everyone. It's so amazing what we can do if we all get together and just say no. We won't take it anymore. We can't. We can't take the oxygen going and the ozone depleting, the ice caps melting, and tell the seals I'm sorry. We've had it too. The oil spills and oceans and killing us, turning around and denying it. We see it. It's so ugly, this destroying, this disrespect for the earth, this willingness to murder without conscience, the air and the water, the cows and chickens. I hear them screaming from here. I can feel it through the neighbor's anger. See the adrenaline raging like those animals he ate for lunch. It's all on the inside. It's all on the karma of our actions. And ignorance is no excuse. I mean, you have Google. You can look it up. You know now. You've got crazy relatives who actually read and research. They tell you over Thanksgiving dinner that your Department of the Treasury and flesh eating is causing so many problems. What about the birds? What about the mercury in those fish? And I smell a rat. I smell a dead body coming out of you. I smell it in the lobby bathroom. You're smelling up the bus, stinking up the train as you ask white meat or dark meat. Isn't it the same? Isn't it just parts of life that got shredded for your greed and entitlement? I deserve the dead body in my SIBO, the IBS, the rot festering in Washington, D.C. I can smell that too. All the way from California. Oh, just kidding. It's corporate fascist sanctuary police state with medieval diseases cropping up again on the streets. That poop on the sidewalks in San Francisco, that jewel of a sanctuary city for Snapchat and Facebook, faking the feeds of your dumb phones, fronting for the technocracy, keeping up with the tax loopholes. This is our city now. No more public bathrooms. You clean up that shit. Those homeless just have to go where they want, like Google does. Just shit where you eat and shit on those that serve you. There are no penalties or stiff consequences for the elite. They write the laws and hire the guns. It's their town now. Newsom doesn't care as long as he gets that payback, that PR spot. It's crazy-fornia, where they can't even take care of their own. So we better just cut loose, run and grow our own and share it all, and let everyone have it. Let them be free to roam about the planet without thought of these crazy things. All right, that's the end of my chapter. And I'll see you next month with a lot more.
Ava, that was very powerful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Can't wait to share more next month.
I can't wait to hear more next month.
Have a great summer, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, sounds good. You have a great summer, too. All right,
thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Our next guest on the show is Mickey Z. Mickey Z is a writer, a poet, and activist living in Astoria, Queens, New York City. And right now we're going to hear the conversation between Mickey Z in New York City and Chuck Gregory in Fort Lauderdale.
Well, here we are, June already. This year continues to go very, very fast. But at least at the beginning of every month, we get to reset things a little bit. And we get to talk to our friend Mickey Z, who is in Astoria, New York. And welcome to the show, Mick.
Thank you very much, Chuck. Always happy to be here and be your reset button.
Well, I think I could really use a reset button right now. It's been one of those days. Everything I start, something more important comes up, and then I never finish anything. And you know how those days go? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, I don't know. So, okay, with all that out of the way, hey, what the heck's going on in New York City?
Oh, we have some lovely spring weather, I'm happy to report. It's been very rainy up here, but I remember last year, as early as May, we needed air conditioning up here, and we got rain, but the temperatures, when it clears up, the temperatures are nice, and I'm always complaining about weather stuff, so I wanted to say, I want to give a shout out that New York has done pretty well with the weather. So that seems to lift everyone's spirits here. It's a little less cranky in the city.
Well, all right. Well, that's good.
Yes.
Well, let's see. Where are we going to go from here? Why don't you tell me? I don't know. Are you? Go ahead.
Well, since opportunities will come their way that they don't have now, it's almost like it's this strange time period where running for president of the United States of America is like a strategic career move towards other gigs or something to just rise yourself out of obscurity. And every time I turn around, someone else announces. So we were here in New York. I think it was like a universal sound of laughter when Mayor de Blasio decided to run, because it's like I can't imagine that he has any intention of actually following through and any fantasy of winning. It's just like repositioning himself into a different political space or media space.
Well, now that's a very interesting thought, because, I mean, I've really been wondering why in the world are there so many people in this race? It's crazy. I actually, I shook hands with one of them a week and a half ago. John Hickenlooper, the former governor of Colorado, is a classmate of mine, and I went up for my 45th reunion at Wesleyan University. So he was at our dinner, and I said hi to him. Didn't really get to talk much, but mentioned the presidential thing. So.
Yeah, I wonder. I seriously wonder that. I know that some of the late night talk show comedy shows are doing bits like asking people, everyday people on the street, if they can identify the candidates of the Democratic, primaries, and meaning like they would just make up characters and then interject real candidates in there, and nobody could differentiate, outside of the high-profile people, of course. Nobody could differentiate between the candidates and like the actors or made-up names, or even some of them were real names of just people who do other things. And it's really caused me to ponder. I can't speak to your former classmate, of course. I don't want to impugn on his sincerity for running. I'm sure some of them truly believe that they have the answer, but I just have never witnessed a situation where a full 18 or 19 months before the election, there's got to be about 25 Democrats running. And it's impossible for me to believe that every single one of them envisions themselves as either the presidential or vice presidential candidate. So when I begin to contemplate why else would they be doing it, I have to assume it's to reposition themselves, and it's like to brand themselves. So to put it in more 2019 language, where you create a brand and maybe like taking on each other and putting on a spectacle and being turned into a meme or something like that, getting the most tweets. And then the next thing you know, you have a different type of career, which could eventually lead you to run again as a high profile person. But it's hard to imagine any of them winning, getting like more than 2 or 3% of the vote. Like there's just not enough votes to go around. And the vast majority of those 25 are folks that unless you're an absolute political junkie, you've never heard of them. And in my lifetime, the only time I can sort of think of someone loosely coming out of nowhere, it was Jimmy Carter, but that was such a different time period. And that it's virtually like comparing the Dark Ages, to the Space Age. It's impossible to equate them. So I don't know. Do you have any musings as to why so many candidates? Is it the Trump effect? Is it this branding thing, or do you think that many of them really believe in themselves and think they can win?
Well, I would like to think that they believe in themselves and think they can win.
Okay.
But a somewhat more paranoid part of me thinks that one of the best things that could happen for the Republicans, it would be a highly divisive Democratic primary that basically ruins all the candidates because they're fighting each other so much instead of trying to get behind their candidate. And that in a way that might have happened last time, where we ended up, a lot of people really wanted Bernie, and the powers that be wanted Hillary, and of course Hillary was the nominee, but a lot of people didn't want to vote, or just absolutely could not find it in themselves to vote for her. And I really wonder if, drawing on that experience, somebody might be trying to destroy the next round.
I think that's a very salient point, in that even trying to look at this completely objectively, like not saying Bernie over Hillary or Hillary over Bernie, there was a point where the writing was on the wall. Like you said, the powers that be were not going, this was not going to be Bernie's round in 2016, yet he stayed in the race, and his critiques of Hillary created a blueprint that Trump took to a nuclear level. And you could, I think, without stating any favoritism towards anyone, I think you can make a pretty safe statement that Bernie damaged Hillary Clinton as a candidate, where she should have won as the experienced person over some, apprentice host, but she obviously she got the popular vote, but she didn't win. And so now you look at who's in the race now, and it's fascinating, because as someone who has moved in and out of the radical left, I understand that folks are calling out the more middle of the road Democratic candidates, for example, Joe Biden. But strangely, when I hear Obama saying this, you're turning this into a circular firing squad, and where you're going to have nobody left, it kind of dovetails with what you said. If the goal is to get Donald Trump out of office, then the strategic move to me is to unite behind whoever is the most electable. And then 4 years from now, you can then turn it back into a purity contest and decide who might make a difference. But I would hope that they would nominate the person that has the best chance to win. But I totally agree with you. This number of people and the infighting between them makes me feel that if I were a betting man and someone said to me right now in June of 2019, you had to put money down, I would bet that Trump is reelected without a doubt. And part of that is because of the chaotic muddling of these candidates. And I couldn't say that I saw this coming. I thought that people would Trump's opponents would say, all right, we need a completely different strategy. And instead, it's just turned into something we've never seen before. It's like people coming out of the woodwork and announcing and then just attacking each other. And Trump just gives them all a crazy nickname and laughs them off on Twitter. So every time I think, you and I have these conversations, every time I think it can't get even more bizarre, we just keep seeing things we've never seen before. And so I'm baffled by this, and I'm watching it with much interest. But I'm also, I'm happy, as somebody who once used to be I had more of a purist mentality and so on. Right now, I would, for the short term, vote for whoever could beat Trump, and then we'll figure it out from there. But it doesn't seem like that's what they're thinking. And if it's Biden who wins, I mean, can he win against Donald Trump? I mean, he doesn't seem like the strongest candidate. And when you think about who you have to be to stand up to him in debate, and how Trump just bullied, and remember what he did to Jeb Bush. I mean, he just literally, like a schoolyard bully, he basically chased him off the schoolyard. And so you have to have a certain makeup to deal with someone like that. So if you ask me, if you said, all right, nominate someone for the Democratic Party, I would pick Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I'd pick another celebrity, a bigger, better celebrity than him that could out-talk him and is physically more dominating than him. Say, let's be crazy. Let's be absolutely crazy and say, well, if anyone can be president and it's just a popularity contest, well, then give me the more popular guy who's going to vote, who's going to chase Trump off the schoolyard. So there's my answer.
Okay.
I vote for The Rock.
Yeah, right.
How about you?
Well, that would be interesting. I might go for Bernie. Actually, I don't agree with